Okay, this is my new tilt rotor quadcopter, and as you can see there, the front of that tilts and the back of it tilts. So I'm going to go through and show you a little bit about it, because the instructions, while the instructions are quite simple and easy to follow, there is a couple of little tricks that you need to work out to get the whole package together to do it right the first time. So to this stage I'm looking at around about 3 or 4 hours, and that is doing a lot of reading, checking all the parts, trying to work out where everything goes together and then fitting it up. So I thought I'd do a video just to show how it all goes together, and a couple of the, I wouldn't say the hidden traps, but a couple of little shortcuts to get you going. This is a frame, it's a new type of frame. There's another one out on the market from China, but I liked this one. This is from Sweden, and the guy's name is Paul, and I tell you what, his after sales service has been second to none. I ordered this back in May, it finally came this week. So let's get into it. What you get is you get one carbon fibre frame, and you get basically everything to make it except for the main running gear like your ESCs, your flight controller, your motors. So let's hop into it. One of the first traps that I fell into is it says that the arrows on the frame are pointing forward. So I'm looking for an arrow, but what they mean is these two sections here. So they're the two arrows. So that's the front. Okay. So then what you need to do is you need to put these little bits on here and slide your shaft through and then bolt it up. So that's tight, they're tight, but all this running gear in here is still loose. You need to put this this tensioning device. Now this slides up and down. What I found in the instructions, there was a red chamfered washer there, and that's been done away with by a straight washer. But if you put the size screw in there that they recommend, it comes out the side here. So I just used a different one and just matched it up. It's about a 20 or 25. So goes through there, it's got a washer there, it's got a little nylon bush inside there, and it's got a flat washer and a spring washer there just to hold it all. Now it's all loose. The same at this end here. So basically front to back, everything is on, all the drivetrain is on the left. So again, the same. One of the unique features of this is down in here you get this plate, which is your GoPro plate on the front, and this plate which is just some real estate, so you can put a receiver for your transmitter or your receiver or transmitter for your FPV gear. But there's a cutout in here, and these are actually smaller, so you need to slide them in and do them up with the bolts there. So there's a gap there. If you don't want to put those on, what they give you is these, so you just slide them in underneath as a spacer and you don't have to put them in. It's a fairly neat and snug fit. The beauty about this is too, they use these aluminium standoffs. The standoffs hold down into here. They screw up into the bottom so it holds it nice and tight, and that also makes for your top plate to screw into. This was a bit took me a little bit of time to put this together. I put the servo in there. The roller itself, or the drive, isn't screwed on, as you can see. It just screws straight into 2 grub screws onto the shaft of the servo, and then there's again a nylon bush that goes in here with a nut with a screw, and that screw goes through and actually screws into that drive cog. So the whole idea of that is when that's lined up and screwed in there, this actually takes the offset load here, so it doesn't actually bend and twist and deflect. So it's held nice and parallel. You've also got your final adjustment here, which is this guy. Again, put together, it's got a nylon bush in there. So you've got 1, 2, 3 adjustments. Now, because the servo, we don't know where the servo is, front or back, you leave all your parts loose. So they're all loose, everything's loose. So when you get to put it on, you sort out where your servo is, and then you can start tightening it up. The power distribution board that comes with it is quite good. You get all the 5 volt and 12 volt regulators to put on your board here. You get a real nifty little set of different coloured pins to go in here. So you get red ones and you get blue ones and black ones. So your red, I'm assuming, is your positive for your 12, your blue is your positive for your 5, and your black is your negative. So you got 12 volt, 5 volt, 5 volt, 12 volt, 5 volt, 12 volt there. So you've got more than enough power there to run your videos and your transmitters off. Your ESC sits straight on there, so your 2 leads there, your 3 there, and this is where your motor connections go onto if you want to use it that way. And this real estate here is where those regulators go that I just talked about. Now that just sits, obviously is going to sit there. The NAS 32 board that they recommend, and this is one of them. You have to download the firmware and flash it for the tilt rotor, and there's a video on that, but I can do a video on that a bit later. But I have actually flashed this guy here to the tilt rotor firmware, so it's all good to go. It will sit in there like so. ESCs out to your motors. So I'm going to be running these little guys here, these 15 amp multi-stars. So basically they will sit here, they will solder onto the pads, they will go onto there, they will be strapped to that, and then of course the wiring up into here. So there's a fair bit of tidying up of the wiring to do, and of course what we're going to run on here as well, what I'm going to do with mine, this is all the gear here. I'm going to be running a Bluetooth unit on mine so I can do it on the go adjustments. I'm going to be running a simple Hobby King on-screen display for the FPV so I can see what voltage I've got. That is my receiver bracket that sits out the back, and of course what we're going to be running here is the little U-Butte Turnigy Baby Beast motors, which no doubt will sit on there like so and go around and join onto these guys here. So all in all, a really nice rig, very well thought of in the design, very well made. And what I really liked about this is that Paul has made it that all these parts, not power distribution board, but all the parts you can actually download from a website, and you can actually make them yourself if you've got a 3D printer. And if you haven't or don't know anyone with a 3D printer, you can actually go and ask him and he will find your nearest location and get it printed for you. So the basic way that it works, you get this nice little belt with it, and that little belt will obviously thread around through there and be tension through the drive here, around through there, and will join. And of course this servo then will actually tilt both of these in the fashion that you need to travel in. So all in all, a really nice rig. You get all the plates with it. This is the top plate, and the top plate will sit on there like so. There's a couple of other plates that you need, and one of them is like this guy. This guy sits up the back here, so that sits underneath there to hold your FPV antenna. And there's another plate that sits on up here. There's another set of these red standoffs that fit in here to hold the center plate. So basically that is all held together. That will be That will go in there like so. That will go in there like so. That will go on the top like that. And then this is your battery plate, which sits on here, and your battery sits on the top there. So look, all in all, a really well thought about rig. It's a lot of real estate. There's a lot of nice parts. They're printed, 3D printed, or they are carbon fibre. And this is the underside of the motor mount. The motor mounts are fairly straightforward. The motor mounts just bolt straight onto your carbon fibre unit here, like this guy. So they just screw straight in, and then basically away you go.